The sheriff investigating the murder of a mom of 5 thinks that the suspect may be a serial killer. Rachel Morin was beaten to death along a popular hiking trail near Baltimore. And the sheriff says that given the brutality of the crime, he thinks the suspect will continue killing until he is captured. Morin's sister shares the same fear. She spoke exclusively with News Nation's Ashley Banfield. Take a quick listen.
Like the sheriff said, this guy is going to do it again. It could be, your sister, your mother, your daughter. And that's what people don't get. I don't understand why no one's come forward. To me, it's obvious that somebody recognizes this guy. They have to. It's like I could see him move and know, if this was somebody I knew, I would know who it was. So I'm really hoping that somebody comes forward soon. Somebody is brave enough to do that, to do what's right.
We'll continue to show. Yeah, and we do want to bring in criminal defense attorney Brian Claypool on this. Brian, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, hi, Natasha. Thanks for having me.
So, Brian, I know that you've been tracking the details of this case. Do you believe that there is any indication that this is the work of a serial killer?
I mean, there is an indication now because the suspect was tied to an assault on a young female here in the Los Angeles area as well. So they took a DNA swab from the scene of the crime with Rachel, and then they matched it with a crime that was committed here in Los Angeles. That's important because it shows a pattern in practice, I think now, of this guy sexually assaulting women. Now, one thing I am a little concerned about, Natasha, is the LAPD hasn't released a lot of detail about the suspect in the case here in Los Angeles. Why is that important? Because if we want people to come forward and potentially identify this suspect, then we need people like you, your show, the police departments in LA and Baltimore to get out there and push this out more, show pictures of this guy, even if it's from his back. I think he might have a tattoo as well. That's something that people then can look at, visualize, and then try to identify this guy.
Yeah, and we're taking a look at some stills you can see in that $10,000 reward poster of his back from that doorbell camera. And to your point, we do know that the suspect in Morin's death was connected to that violent home invasion in California. What are you tracking from that case? I mean, oftentimes with serial killers, you have these sort of hallmarks or these similarities between two different things. Are there any immediate similarities you can see between these two cases other than, of course, the DNA?
Yeah, great question, Natasha. There are two different types of crimes. The one in Los Angeles, he somehow gained access to a home, entered the home, and then assaulted the young woman. And then there was videotape of him leaving the home. That's different than what happened in this case, which is she was running on a trail. I think it's called the Mom and Pa Trail near Baltimore, a jogging trail. And then she was assaulted in the woods nearby. So those are two different mechanisms for the crime. But if the Baltimore Police Department has evidence that she was sexually assaulted in this second crime, then I think you do have a similarity then in that respect. And then maybe then this guy can be deemed a sexual predator. And then I think police departments nationwide need to start taking close looks at any unsolved crimes involving sexual assault and see if there's some connection to this guy.
Yeah, given that this is one person who's now connected to these two different crime scenes, albeit being thousands of miles apart, how likely do you believe it is that there are other unsolved crimes out there that are connected to this same man?
Oh, I absolutely feel there are other crimes connected to this man. And I agree with one of the siblings who was on Ashley's show. I mean, I work on sexual assault cases, Natasha. I've done it for over a decade. And one common thread you see is that these sexual predators strike again. It's almost like a drug in their system, and they can't live without it. And they've got to go out and do it again. And this today we know of 2, possibly more. And I urge police departments nationwide to take a second look at any unsolved sexual assault cases, because I believe this guy is an addict. He's a sexual predator, and he's going to strike again. And hopefully, one other thing I wanted to mention, Natasha, is they got DNA at the scene of where the trail was. if we could learn more on how that death happened, for example, was there an instrument used, a knife, a piece of wire, or anything? If the police could release that, whether an object was used, then you can start going and looking at some videotapes of department stores or like Home Depot in that area, in the Baltimore area, to see whether he shows up on any surveillance video in any stores purchasing something similar to what may have been used in this murder.
I hear you. In cases like this, right, every single detail matters, and we don't have as many of them as we would like from investigators at this point. But Brian Claypool, always appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Natasha.